Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be talking about the Baltimore Orioles and just the state that they're in and overall what is going on with this team. Because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about regarding the Orioles. There's a lot to talk about this team, about players, about coaches, about the general manager, and just about the state of this team in general. As you can see, I made this tweet a few hours ago on the official Birds of a Feather Twitter account. Make sure to go give that a follow if you're not already following. But I said up 3-1 going into the bottom of the 8th, and we lost 5-3. It's over. That game in this series just proved we aren't doing a damn thing this season. Not going to be optimistic. It's just a waste of my time. And this is obviously what I was feeling in the moment. Obviously, I'm still going to be making videos about the Orioles. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and crash out about the Orioles and, oh my God, like I hate this team, whatever. But this team, this specific Orioles team, and is obviously very similar to last year's Orioles team with new players, with new coaching, with new management, whatever. But it's a disgrace. I mean, this team is a disgrace to the city of Baltimore. And as you can see right here, I haven't made a video in like a week because I kind of wanted to wait until after this Rays series. But the Orioles, if you guys didn't know, earlier today we played our third game against Tampa in this 3-game series, and we lost. And we also got swept by the Tampa Bay Rays, and we also lost 2 out of 3 against the Washington Nationals and lost that series. So the last video I made was when we took 2 out of 3 games from the New York Yankees. Things were looking great. Things were looking good. We were going into a 6-game road trip at Washington and at Tampa, and we ended up losing 5 of those 6 games. The only win that we had was in Game 3 against the Washington Nationals, where we already lost the series, so it was kind of a bittersweet thing. But then we played the Tampa Bay Rays, who had the best record in the American League. The Tampa Bay Rays have been a very good team this year. I thought that they were a fake good team because on paper their team really isn't that great, but the players that they have are stepping up and making winning plays, which is something that this team isn't doing. And the Tampa Bay Rays swept the Orioles 3-0. They lost the first game 16-6 in a completely disgusting, horrible way. Then they lost yesterday 4-1, and then they lost earlier today 5-3. They lose this series. They get swept by the Rays, and they're going to be playing them next week. You have a weekend series against the Detroit Tigers in Baltimore, and then you're playing the Rays again this upcoming Monday. So they better be ready to play them again because it's pretty much going to be the same pitchers again. But when it comes to this Orioles team and just the state that they're in right now, the big thing to me is that they're just not making winning plays, whether that's bringing runners home and runners in scoring position, whether that's the starting pitching not doing its job, and the game just like being in such an unreachable state early. Like, for example, in the game where we lost 16-6 against the Rays on, what was it, Monday? In this game that we lost 16-6, this game was what? 8-0 in the second inning, or sorry, by the fourth inning it was 8-0. Like, you're not going to win games when you just go down so much early. Like, Trevor Rogers this year, and also there's a lot of discussions that we have to have about a lot of different players. But when it comes to Trevor Rogers specifically, he is not our ace. This guy is not an ace. This guy, I was a fool for falling for what he did last year. And I think a lot of Orioles fans are fools as well for falling for what this guy did. But it's like, how can you blame us, 100 innings, had like a 1.81 ERA. He was 10th in American League Cy Young voting, which is going to go on his record forever. Like, he had such an incredible year. He was arguably the best pitcher in baseball when he was actually pitching in those 100 innings that he pitched. And this season, he started off the year off great. Like, it looked like he was going to kind of have a great year again. But ever since that third start of the year, and again, we can go to the game log. Like, first 3 starts, 7 innings, 0 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs. These first 3 starts were all great. And then I don't know what happened on Tuesday, April 14th against the Arizona Diamondbacks. What happened that day? But ever since that start, he has been god-awful for 5 straight starts now. 4 innings, 4 runs, 5 innings, 5 runs, 1.2 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 6 runs, 3 innings, 7 runs. He has been basically unplayable in the last month of his starts. He's been horrendous. And it's sad because Trevor Rogers is a player that we were all hoping was going to be an ace for the Orioles this season. Him and Kyle Bradish, we were praying were going to be the aces for this Orioles team. But it's been the complete opposite of that. I mean, Trevor Rogers has been horrible for the Orioles, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's been the worst starting pitcher on this team for the Orioles. He has a 6.87 ERA. He has a 2-5 record, 33 strikeouts with a 1.6 WHIP. I mean, this is horrible. Like, this is it's really bad. It's getting really bad for Trevor Rogers. Obviously, we're going to keep playing him. We're going to keep giving him those opportunities. I don't think we're going to send him down to AAA after what he did last season. Again, we're just kind of like clinging on to what he did last year. But he needs to figure this out. Because if this Orioles team wants to have any chance of getting back into this season, Trevor Rogers, among the other starting pitchers on this rotation, are going to really have to step up. Because this is unacceptable. I'm just going to be honest. This is... I'm laughing because, like, we, as Orioles fans, going into the season, we're so optimistic and so excited. And you can go back in my old videos from like a month ago or like a few months ago where I was talking about this Orioles team. Like after we signed Pete Alonso, how happy I was. All the moves we made this offseason, how happy I was. Going into the year, how optimistic I was that this team could really figure it out with the new manager and Craig Abernaz and figuring things out. And Craig Abernaz, that's a whole different story. My thoughts on him. He really is not moving the needle for me at all. He hasn't done anything or said anything to really make me feel like this team can come out of this, because we're currently 21-29 on the year. Yeah, let's go to the Orioles record. 21-29 on the season, and we are currently last in the American League East as it stands right now. And when we go to the American League, we are bottom 5 in the American League. The Angels, Astros, Royals, and Tigers are the only teams underneath the Orioles. And the Orioles are going to be playing the Tigers this weekend, this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They do have a day off tomorrow. Thank God. They really need this day off to kind of figure out what the hell is going on with this team. Because they beat the Yankees in a 3-game series, and things were looking good, and things were looking okay. They can use this momentum. Like, I made a video about it. I was saying after they beat the Yankees in 2 out of 3 games, I was really optimistic that this team could go on some sort of run. And I said the exact same thing last year whenever they would win a series, but they just haven't done it. Like, they just haven't done it at all. Past 6 games, they've lost 5 of the last 6 games. Lost to the Nationals, 3-2. Then they lost 13-3. Then they won 7-3 against the Nationals, and then they just got swept by the Rays in just horrendous fashion. They're playing on Apple TV Friday night. I don't know why Apple wants to even pick up that game, because both teams have been pretty trash. We're actually playing Jack Flaherty on Friday, so maybe a little bit of a revenge game for him, even though we didn't even... There's no revenge to be had. I mean, he used to be an Oriole for half a season, and he was god-awful, so... But talking about this Orioles team, and just some specific players that I want to talk about and kind of shine the light on some players. Obviously, it's very dark right now for the Orioles. There's not a lot to be shining lights on because it's just very depressing and dark for this team right now. They're 21-29, guys. I mean, they're 8 games below 500, and we're sitting in, we're nearing the end of May, and we're 8 games below 500, and if they don't figure this out quick, if they don't figure this out and get their stuff together, they're going to fall into a hole that's going to be unrecoverable. And when we get to the trade deadline and we get to the selling or buying season, this Orioles team is going to have to pick a direction, because this team, as it stands right now, if they're in a similar record going into that date, they're not going to be able to buy. They're not going to be able to buy their way out of this and try and trade for a player that's going to hopefully get them over the hump to make the playoffs and potentially go on a run. They can't do that. They're going to have to pick a direction whether to sell or buy. Because, and that's why this is so complicated with the Orioles, because obviously you go through a rebuild for years. Literally almost a decade-long rebuild. You get a bunch of players out of it. Then all of a sudden, You have a good team. In 2023, you win 101 games, which is still insane to me that just 3 years ago, this Orioles team won 101 games. Obviously, there's a lot of new players that have come in and out of this team. But some of the players who have kind of stayed throughout this time was Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson. Like, those were the two players that have kind of stayed there. A couple of the bullpen guys have stayed. But there's been a lot of players who have come in and out. Obviously, Brandon Hyde was the coach or the manager back then. We now have Craig Arbonaz. And all I'm going to say is that Brandon Hyde, I just want to apologize to Brandon Hyde because this is not his fault. It was not his fault last year. With what was going on with the Orioles last season when we were 30-45 and we fired Brandon Hyde, or we were 15-30 and we fired Brandon Hyde. It's not his fault. It was not his fault. There was a lot wrong with this team that I guess we didn't notice. And I think a lot of that has to do with the roster construction. The roster construction has been horrible. And on paper, you can get good names, and Mike Elias can make these moves that seem interesting. But if none of them pan out, and if none of them contribute to winning, then how am I supposed to look at those moves in a good light, if you know what I'm saying? So Mike Elias has really kind of thrown this entire thing away. He had the core in 2023. Tried to be aggressive, trade for Corbin Burnes in 2024. The team played, well throughout the regular season, but then got swept in the postseason. This team hasn't won a playoff game in 11 years. A game, not a series. They haven't won a playoff game in 11 years. The past 2 times they made the playoffs was in 2023, where they got swept in 3 games by the Rangers, who would eventually go on to win the World Series. And then in 2024, they made the playoffs and got swept in 2 games by the Royals. Where the Orioles only scored 1 run in those 2 games that they got swept in. So it's really, really depressing what this team has just what the product is on the field. It's horrible. It's unacceptable. It's disgraceful. I'm completely disappointed in this team and what they've been doing. They just seem like they don't have the fight in them. They don't have the fight. They don't want to win. They don't care. I don't see that. And for as much as they can say it in the locker room, as much as they can say it in the clubhouse and in the media, and Craig Arbonaz wants to say that, oh yeah, we're going to turn this around, we're going to figure this out, I'm not worried. He can say that over and over again, but until we see actual results, I'm not gonna take what he's saying with any sort of I'm just gonna laugh at what he's saying and just move on. The Orioles have really not pulled ahead. I mean, they stayed around 500 for a lot of this season so far, but recently they've just kind of been going on a downhill slide. Going and looking at their past 10 games, they're 4-6 in their last 10 games. They've lost 3 in a row. They just got swept by the Rays, who are the best team in the American League, so I'm not saying that they got swept by some bum. The Rays have been the best team in the American League pretty much all season. And respect to them and what they're doing, they've been great. The Orioles obviously haven't been. And I guess if you want to look at this Rays series at face value, a good team sweeps a bad team because the Orioles are a bad team. I'm not going to sit here and be optimistic and say, oh, yeah, we have all these great players. Jackson Holiday is back. Jackson Holiday came back. He played yesterday and then got pinch hit for yesterday. And then he wasn't even in the lineup today. Why is he not why is Weston Wilson still playing for the Orioles? Why is he still starting at third base for the Orioles? It's just things like that, man, that confuses me. Why you bring up Jackson Holiday, activate him off of the injured list, bring him back, has 2 at-bats in yesterday's game, then he gets pulled and pinch hit for, and then today he's not even in the lineup. Do they not trust Jackson Holiday? This is supposed to be our one-of-one franchise-saving number 1 overall pick, number 1 overall prospect player, and you can't even play him with confidence in a series that you already lost? And maybe that's why they didn't play him, because it wasn't an important game, even though every game right now, and every game moving forward over the next 2 months, or even over the next few weeks for the Orioles, is going to be important. They cannot afford to drop any more games this season, and that's the position that they put themselves in. And I know that I'm being very negative about this team, but it's how am I supposed to praise this team for its efforts when there is no effort to praise? It's just really disappointing, man. I mean, they're 12-12 at home and 9-17 on the road. They have a negative 59 run differential, which is what, the second worst in the American League, and what, the second worst in baseball. They have the second worst run differential in all of baseball, and the only team that has a worse run differential is the Angels, who are 17-32 and the worst team in the league. Like, it's horrible. In terms of runs given up, we're what, 28th in runs given up. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, it really is ridiculous. In terms of total wins, we're like bottom 8 or bottom 7 in wins. Like, come on, man. Like, do you guys understand how badly I want to praise this team and talk good about this team? Going back and looking at like the 2023 season, where we want, like, look, we can go to right here, 2023. The 101-61 Orioles. 101 wins. They had the second most wins in the entire league. Like, this team was so much fun to watch. And obviously I didn't have the podcast going back then, and I wish I did, because I was having so much damn fun watching this Orioles team go out there every single night. And play with some heart and some passion. They didn't have the best team on paper. They didn't have the best pitching on paper. But they went out there and they fought hard. And their mentality to win games was there. And just the whole mentality of the team and the identity of the team was so much fun to watch. They won 101 games. They won the American League East. And now, looking back at it, just 3 years later, that looks like a complete myth. They won 101 games in 2023. They won 91 games in 2024. 2025, they won 75 games. They were last in the division last year. Obviously, we remember how horrible it was last season. And then this year in 2026, they're back to being last in the division. Like, I want to be talking about this team in a good way. I want to be sitting there and saying, oh my God, we just got a great win. Great plays from this guy. Great plays from this guy. Like, we did it. Like, what a win. You know, we've won 8 games in a row. Like, keep this train rolling. The Orioles are on fire right now. I want to say that. I want to be so happy about this team. And I want to be praising this team. And I want to sing all the praises if they deserve it and if they're doing good. And obviously, when the Orioles play good and play and win games, I'm happy about it. Like, just last episode where I was talking about the Orioles taking 2 out of 3 games from the Yankees. I was very happy with how they played, and I was very optimistic that they could go on a run to get back into this season. And then they go on and lose 5 of the next 6 games. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games. They're 1-5 in their last 6 games. They've lost back-to-back series, including getting swept by the Rays in your division. I think I saw a stat earlier that they're 0-7 on the road against divisional opponents. Like, that is just embarrassing, man. And looking ahead to the Orioles schedule, like looking ahead to what they got coming up, they got the Tigers this weekend. Then they got the Rays again. Then they got the Blue Jays, who are starting to get hot. Then they got the Red Sox, who have been pretty bad. Then they got the Blue Jays again. So you have back-to-back divisional opponents. You play the Rays at home, or you play the Rays in Baltimore. You play the Blue Jays for 4 games in Baltimore. So you have a 7, like, what? How many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have a 10-game home stretch coming up. This is it right here. They have a 10-game home stretch. Their next 10 games are in Baltimore, right? So we're going to look at it big picture-wise. The Orioles in these next 10 games, for me, and if they want to get back into the season and crawl back into the season and slowly find their way and get some momentum, they have to go 7-3 minimum in these next 10 games. They can't afford to go 6-4. They can't afford to go an even 5-5, and they definitely cannot afford to go negative. They cannot afford to drop any more games. This 8 games below 500 thing that they're at right now, this better be the most games below 500 I see this team at. They cannot afford to drop any more games. Because once you hit 10 games below 500 and you're double digits below 500, it is very hard to crawl out of that hole. And we saw it last season. It was the exact same thing last year. The Orioles didn't start off the season good. They dropped like 5 games below 500. Then they dropped 10 games. Then they dropped 15 games. And they were never able to recover. And a big reason why they were never able to recover was because the starting pitching was so bad that they couldn't find any consistency because the starting pitching was so horrible. And that is exactly what's going on with this Orioles team this season. Going over and looking at the stats for this team. And I want to look at specifically the starting pitchers for this Orioles team. And recently there's been some good games. Like, for example, Shane Baz today, he played a good game for the Orioles. It just sucked that the Orioles blew it late in the game. You know what I'm saying? Kyle Bradish has had some good starts, but it doesn't matter because we won't give him any run support. So going over and looking here at the team leaders. Also, I don't know why Ryan Helsley hasn't come back. I thought that his injury wasn't serious. Hopefully we'll see him coming back soon, just adding another great reliever to this bullpen. But going over to the starting pitchers, going over to the ERA for starting pitchers, the worst ERA for a starting pitcher this year for the Orioles is Trevor Rogers. Let's look at the starting rotation for the Orioles. So right now our starting rotation is Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, Shane Baz, Chris Bassett, and Brandon Young. That is our starting five. Or sorry, not our starting five. That is our rotation. This isn't basketball. That is our pitching rotation. Obviously, Brandon Young replacing Zach Eflin because Zach Eflin got Tommy John. The worst starting pitcher in terms of ERA is Trevor Rogers, 6.87 ERA. Chris Bassett, 5.44 ERA. Shane Baz, 4.87 ERA. Brandon Young, 4.25 ERA. And Kyle Bradish, who's been playing a lot better recently. He's been playing a lot better baseball recently at a 4.13. And a 4.13 average isn't like the worst thing in the world. Kyle Bradish is definitely picking it up. He has 58 strikeouts on the year. He's really figuring it out. He's almost top 20 in strikeouts. He has a 2-6 record, which obviously isn't great, but his ERA is starting to come down. He's playing a lot better. Kyle Bradish is definitely the best starting pitcher on this Orioles staff by far. And he's a 4.13 ERA, and I'm saying that. Also, Brandon Young has also, been able to play decently well in the time that he's played. So, again, the starting pitching has to find consistency. The other guys, other than like Kyle Bradish, has to find their way. Especially Trevor Rogers, Shane Baz, and Chris Bassett have to find some sort of consistency. This bullpen has been solid, even though today Anthony Nunez completely gave up the game today and completely sold for the Orioles today. The bullpen overall has been solid. Rico Garcia has been one of the best relievers in baseball. Yanier Cano has been great. Ryan Helsley, whenever he's played, has been great. Tyler Wells has started to play good recently. Dietrich, and then it just gets bad. I'm gonna be honest, our team ERA is not good at all. Our team ERA is 4.96 combined with every pitcher that we've had pitch this year. We've had some solid relievers. We've had some really good bullpen moments this year where they've really saved us. But overall, the starting pitching has been a huge problem for the Orioles this year. And also the offense not being able to score runs with runners in scoring position has been a huge problem. When we go over to the batting, when we go over to the offense, they've been playing a lot better recently. Gunnar Henderson has started to pick it up here recently. He leads the team in hits. He leads the team in home runs. Gunnar has started to play a lot better. His average has gone up to like a 220, I'm pretty sure. He hit his 10th home run the other day. So team leaders, Gunnar Henderson leads the team in hits, leads the team in home runs. Pete Alonso leads the team in RBIs with 28, and then Taylor Ward leads the team in on-base percentage and batting average. Taylor Ward also, I'm pretty sure, leads the league in walks as well. So Taylor Ward's getting on base. We're just having trouble bringing him home. But looking here, like Taylor Ward's leading the team in average with 257. The team average isn't like very good at all. When you look at the batting average for guys that are like qualified, I mean, Samuel Basayo definitely should be qualified. Samuel Basayo technically has the highest average on the team right now with a 277. Adley's got a 266. Taylor Ward's got a 257. Jeremiah Jackson's got a 253. Dylan Beaver's got a 243. Leody Taveras has a 252. Blaze Alexander has a 235. Like, the fact that Blaze Alexander and Leody Taveras and Dylan Beavers and Jeremiah Jackson and Samuel Basayo have a higher average than Pete Alonso and Gunnar Henderson is really sad. Tyler O'Neill is it. I'm not even gonna discuss Tyler O'Neill. He has been horrible. He's 13 for 82 in his at bats. He's a 159 average this season. He's been horrible. But the average of the team definitely needs to go up. Pete Alonso's been playing better recently. Gunnar Henderson's been playing better recently. Those two guys in particular need to be playing their best baseball. But guys like Samuel Basayo, he's having a great year. Taylor Ward, he needs to start hitting more home runs and bringing in more runners. But he's having a solid year in terms of getting on base. Adley's playing great. We have guys playing good baseball, but then we have some guys who are playing like absolutely horrific baseball. And it's just not mixing well together to go and get wins. But I do think that this is going to be it for today's episode. I know it was a lot of negative. I know it was a lot of, yapping and ranting or whatever. But again, I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys have a great rest of y'all's day. Make sure to follow Birds of a Feather on Twitter and Instagram. You can click the link in the bio to check that out. I appreciate y'all so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. You have a great rest of y'all's day. Peace out.